Red Bull has started 2023 in the best possible way, with not just a victory, but a 1-2 finish at the first race of the season, the Bahrain Grand Prix. But the talk after the race was not how they won, but more like the way that they won, as Max Verstappen dominated from pole position to lead home teammate Sergio Perez in what proved to be a crushing display. Red Bull's dominance in Bahrain has even led to suggestions it could go through the entire 2023 season unbeaten. So that's my question for today's video. Is it really possible Red Bull could go through the entire season by winning all of the races? And how much of a possibility is it? Well, let's get into it. To start with, let's go back to pre-season testing, where Red Bull showed its initial hand, and where it performed seamlessly through all 3 days in Bahrain. The RB19 not only looked quick, but it looked a formidable package, with Max Verstappen even admitting that it had improved in every area from the 2022 car. So Red Bull went into that first race as the clear favourites, but things didn't go all to plan in practice, as both drivers admitted that the car didn't feel as good as it had done in testing, and they were both outpaced by the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. But Red Bull rediscovered its form in qualifying as they locked out the front row, with Max taking pole position by a tenth ahead of Checo, with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc their nearest challenger in third. Given the pace that Red Bull had shown in testing and also on its long runs in practice, many expected them to walk away with the race, and that is exactly how it would play out. Max controlled the race from pole position, building a comfortable lead from the first lap, as he secured Red Bull's first win at the season opener since 2011, while Checo, despite losing a place at the start, regained second place and followed Max home. But it wasn't the win that grabbed the headlines, but more so the gap to their nearest rival, which turned out to be Alonso's Aston Martin, who finished in third place, but albeit 38 seconds adrift of the eventual win of Verstappen, with Ferrari and Mercedes even further behind than that. It is worth mentioning that had Leclerc not retired from third place with engine troubles, the gap would not have been as large. But it is also worth pointing out that had Red Bull not told its drivers to turn down their engines with around 10 laps to go, the gap would likely have grown as they were running at around a second per lap slower. The result already has Red Bull's rivals worried that they can't mount a championship challenge this season, with Max Verstappen calling it the perfect start to the year, while Mercedes boss Toto Wolff admitted Red Bull was in a league of its own. But even more startling was George Russell's suggestion that Red Bull might not only be uncatchable, but could go on to win all 23 races this season, something that no team has ever achieved. Speaking after the race, where he finished in 7th place, George said, "Red Bull's got this championship sewn up. I don't think anyone is going to be fighting them this year. I expect they should win every single race this season. This is my bet. With the performance they've got, I don't see anyone challenging them." Winning every single race in 2023 is virtually impossible for Red Bull, and the closest they came to doing this was last season, when they won 17 of the 22 races. But unlike other examples, this is not the closest the team has come to achieving the perfect season. Mercedes has come closest to achieving this feat most recently, as during its early dominance of the V6 hybrid era, it won 19 of the 21 races contested in the 2016 season. And before that, Ferrari, during its own dominant run in the 2000s, won all but 2 races in 2002 and only failed to win 3 Grand Prix in 2004. But all that pales into insignificance, because it's actually McLaren who were closest to going through an entire season unbeaten back in 1988, when its drivers Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna dominated the World Championship. That season, McLaren won 15 Grand Prix out of 16, but it could, would and should have been all of them, had Senna not been taken out by Jean-Louis Schlecher whilst leading in the closing stages of the Italian Grand Prix. So all of this leads on to the ultimate question. Can Red Bull go through the entire season by winning all of the races in 2023? Well, here's why I think they can't. Well, the first and obvious factor is that the chances of this happening are very low, especially when you compare Red Bull and McLaren's respective seasons. Red Bull will have to run up to 7 Grand Prix more than McLaren did through the entire 1988 calendar. So what that effectively means is that Red Bull is more likely to face setbacks in its quest to achieve the perfect season, unlike McLaren, whether that be reliability problems, a dip in form, or simply being beaten on merit. And all of this leads on to my biggest point in what I think is going to be the main factor in stopping Red Bull from winning all of the races, which is of course its cost cap penalty. The 10% reduction in aero testing that Red Bull was handed for breaching the 2021 cost cap will mean that they cannot develop the car at a faster rate than the other teams, and this will likely help the rest of the grid claw back some of the performance deficit that they currently face to Red Bull. While Red Bull's domination in Bahrain is a bit of a worry for Formula 1, but but it could go through the season unchallenged, I don't see its current performance advantage lasting. I think the gap will only close up and we'll see a much closer fight at the front of the grid as the season wears on. So that's what I think over whether Red Bull can win all of the races in 2023. But what are your thoughts? I'd love to know. Be sure to let me know in the comments section. Make sure you don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.